So please don't take a few points of data out of context and make a whole story that the data doesn't in full actually suggest is going on. How's it going, guys? My name is Christopher. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate, affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 21st of July, 2025. This is the numbers and the nuances where you come weekly in order to know exactly what's going down in Utah's housing market. We'll get right into it. Just like every other week, I'll tell you exactly what I think the data shows. I'll give you a bunch of words and then I'll go and give you all the numbers. And if you're trying to make decisions right now about real estate, then that data is going to be invaluable. Let's jump right in. So nothing really shocking this week at all. I will just say three things. One, I love seeing our inventory continue to climb. Housing supply being really low was our biggest problem for how high housing prices got across the COVID era here. That and super low interest rates and the fact that everybody and their dog wanted to be here, it felt like. But having the amount of homes available for sale in our market high is very good. And again, just for comparison, at our lowest point in 2021, we had like 1,500 homes available for sale in the entire state of Utah. Right now, we're at about 13,500. I'll give you the exact number later in the video. But that difference means everything for not having our housing prices go crazy inflated again. And if and when interest rates do come down to any significant degree, the amount of pent-up demand that we have in Utah for housing, we don't want that pent-up demand to take sudden big bites out of our inventory that we can't keep up with so that our inventory plummets again. We don't want that. So love to see housing inventory high and continuing to go up. Second thing I'm mentioning this week is that this last week, average home price jumped down by about 100K. Now, to be clear, this is just this number goes up and down every week, right? You'll see it again on the charts, but it trended up for 3 weeks in a row, or I should say the data point went up for 3 weeks in a row, and I was going to call it a trend if that happened again this last week, but it didn't. It jumped down significantly. So that means that as we look at the data line across the weeks where I've plotted these data points, starting from the beginning of the second quarter to present, this average list price in Utah with the jump down that we got this last week, that's looking really level and stagnant. If it's doing anything, it's coming very moderately up as a trend from the beginning of the second quarter. But the fact that it jumped down significantly this last week like it does means it looks pretty level. And the third thing I'm gonna say is just I'll repeat my common plea, not to misunderstand a few points of data, not to take a few points of data out of context and give them a story that means something that our market doesn't actually show. And the big one that I see is a sense that because homes tend to stay on the market longer right now, and because there are an ever increasing number of price drops that happen on the homes on the market every week, that this means that we're turning into a strong buyer's market. I will say that those 2 points of data are certainly in the buyer's favor, but when you take them and you reconcile them with all the points of data, such as the fact that average home price is staying really level, and if anything, it's trending very slightly up, and if you reconcile the number of price drops happening with the fact that there are just an ever increasing number of homes on the market, then what that tells you is that A, the price drops happening are not significant, and B, the number of price drops happening is in tandem with the number of homes that are just on the market. So please don't take a few points of data out of context and make a whole story that the data doesn't in full actually suggest is going on. Buyers, this still isn't a market where you're slam dunking on the seller. It just isn't at all. If we take any given home that's on the market right now and plug it into the statistics, that home will sell for about 98% of its asking price. So these price reductions that we see week over week for these homes that are on the market, they're 10K down, they're 15K down, they're 25K down on average. And on an average priced home, that puts us at about 98% of asking price. So take that as you will. Let's look at all the data in numbers. Here's where things are in the Utah housing market as of the 21st of July, 2025. Our current inventory stands at 13,594. That is up from the previous week, continuing to trend up. This prior week's average days on market was 55. 55 days on market before a home being sold gets an offer and goes under contract on average. So that's just a 1 day difference down from the previous week, continuing our hover around the mid 50s for days on market. Last week, our average list price came to was $667,465. That's down a solid $100K from the previous week. Last week's average sold price came to $658,599. And so the difference again between average list and average sold came again in the buyer's favor to the tune of about $8,866. Importantly, median sold price came in this last week at $544,900, basically $545. This prior week, the number of homes that were sold came to 652. That's up from the previous week. We've seen a lot of up and down on this data point. We've clearly, though, been averaging around 600 homes sold per week since the beginning of the second quarter here. The number of homes currently under contract comes to 5,230. That's down a bit from the prior week. This data set trending pretty level, but with the slightest downward trend right now. Last week, the number of price reductions on homes actively on the market came to 1,534. That's down from the previous week, still clearly trending up. And last week, the number of listings that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn from the MLS comes to 376. That is down from the previous week. And finally, interest rates for a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan come to currently 6.78%, which is down a bit from the last week, trending steady just a little under 7% interest rates right now. And that is it for this week. As always, if you have any questions about any of that data or how I get it or how I lay it out, feel free to hit me in the comments. I'm going to be happy to respond. If you or anybody you know is looking to move here in Utah, whether you're from here or whether you're coming from out of state, if you're coming from out of state, by the way, I have a whole other playlist of videos that will introduce you to the various cities in Utah, give you a good idea for the neighborhoods, demographic, the amenities in any given area, the schools in the area, and if you're from out of state, those might be really helpful. And if you're from out of state and you need to sell a home and move here to Utah, I've got a lot of connections. I'm probably going to be able to help you identify an excellent real estate agent in your area to represent you if you don't already have somebody that you know you'd like to use. And finally, if this is the kind of data that you value as you move forward to buying or selling a home here in Utah, hit that subscribe, keep up on it with me from week to week. You won't find the data more honestly presented to you or more fully presented to you anywhere else. Thanks for watching this one with me, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.